Alright, so in this video, I want to sort of do I don't really know how to describe this. Similar to what I did with the 90s X-Men figures, I want to do another video similar to it, but with Marvel Legends, Toybiz Marvel Legends specifically. So, I have on hand a bunch of examples of Toybiz figures from the, you know, early Marvel Legends years all the way to, some of the last stuff that they ever put out as a company. So I'm going to be showing off a lot of that in this video. I have a bunch of different figures from the different eras. I have figures from Build-A-Figure waves, pre-Build-A-Figure, post-Build-A-Figure, all that fun stuff. So I'll start with the earliest Marvel Legend figure that I own in my collection, which is this Thor figure here from Series 1. Now, I kind of have this policy, I guess you could call it. I don't really know what to call it. It's kind of strange. But I have this mindset when it comes to action figures, specifically ones that aren't vintage, where if I didn't buy it in the package, it's not my figure. I was not the original owner of it. I am a repossessor of this figure. Someone didn't want it, so they sold it and I bought it. So I really don't look at a lot of these figures as being like figures that I originally owned, but I mean, obviously I own them all, right? I didn't steal them, I'm not borrowing them. But they're just not my original figure that I bought in box and opened myself. Now I make exceptions to this rule, like with G.I. Joe, for example, like from 1964, you'll probably, in your entire life, find, like, unless if you are a big collector, the average collector will probably never find, or almost never find, a completely mint condition, sealed in the original package G.I. Joe, just because of, their age. If anyone isn't familiar with the vintage G.I. Joe from 1964 to 1976, I highly recommend you check it out. It's one of the best toy lines ever, and it's actually the first action figure ever. The term action figure would not exist if it was not for that toy line, so I recommend paying it some respect. Maybe checking out one of the figures or something, but that's not why we're here. We're here for this guy. Well, not this guy specifically, but this line of figures. Now, this is one of the 4 figures in the original wave of Marvel Legends from what I believe started in either 2002 or 2003. I'm not 100% sure. My heart wants to say 2002, but my gut wants to say 2003. So I'm going to go with my gut and say 2003. This figure is obviously Thor from Series 1. And Carbon Scoring actually had some really interesting things to say about this guy that I didn't know. Is that he's apparently made of parts from like a scrapped line of figures, and I think he also has some parts from wrestling figures, because Toybiz has had the Marvel license since 1990, I believe, or maybe it was 1991. I'm going to say 1990. So they were planning this line of bigger, more realistic Marvel figures that were going to be like grungier and a little bit closer to like a real-life depiction than a comic book representation. And they were also running this line of wrestler figures, and I believe this Thor uses parts from wrestlers and from that line of figures. That's why if anyone's familiar with that wave, or if anyone's not familiar with it, it was Iron Man, Hulk, this Thor figure, and Toad. And anyone who's familiar with X-Men probably knows Toad, but the average Marvel reader, probably doesn't really know a lot about Toad or even know who he is. And it's kind of weird that in the first 4, they put Toad and not like a Spider-Man or something. Now, Spider-Man Classics was out around this time, I believe, so there was plenty of Spider-Man figures to go around. But still, it's a little bit of a weird decision. So, anyway, this Thor figure, very, very cool figure. I bought him at a comic shop around the Albany area of New York, called Weirdo Toys and Comics. He has since then switched to games, like Games and Comics, which is disappointing, but back when his store was really, really good, I bought this figure there, and I love this guy. This guy was in my display for my Avengers display. He was in there for probably like 3 or 4 years until I got this guy right here, who is shorter, but just as cool, and he fell down. This is the Herald of Galactus Thor, and he has replaced this figure on the right, the Toybiz one. He replaced him in my display, mainly because of Marvel Rivals, but, yeah, so, this, both of these figures are great, but we're not talking about this guy today. Today, it is all about this guy. And he is from, as I already said, the first wave of Marvel Legends figures from 2003. I don't have any of his accessories because I bought him loose, which is why, I don't consider him to be my figure because I was not the original owner of the figure. I own it, like I already said, but it's not my original. I did not buy it new. So, that's just kind of a weird me thing. But, yeah, this guy's great. He has really, really strange articulation, and the way the articulation is cut is not really my cup of tea. But some interesting things to keep in mind with Toybiz as we move on, and you're going to see some things change as the years progress. But he has a single-jointed elbow that gets pretty decent range. Swivel. He's got hinged fingers and toes. Now, if anyone is a modern Marvel Legends collector, you know how long it took Hasbro to give us articulated toes, but Toybiz was doing it right out of the gate. So that's interesting. Both figures have articulated fingers, and a big thing that Toybiz used to do is the fully, static, pre-posed torso. So his torso is not posable at all. And I'm personally not a fan of plastic or rubber capes, but in the case of this figure, I would never change this cape, because look how good that looks. They have a wash, they have highlights. This thing looks really good. This is a very, very good looking figure. I actually want a brand new one, because of how much I like this guy. I think this is probably the strongest figure out of that first wave, in my opinion. And I love him to death. So, we're starting off very strong. And then I actually don't know what order these were released in, because I wasn't alive when they were being made. So I'm going to go with one of the ones next that I actually own, that I bought sealed, and this is Nick Fury. This is the only figure I have the base for. That is not the gun he came with. I'm actually going to take him off this base. Actually, I'm just going to take him off the jetpack. But before I do that, actually, this is the base. It's pretty cool. It has all the Toybiz bases have a hole, so you can plug him into the wall and have him, flying, or actually it'd probably be, I don't really know how you would do it, because the base part doesn't really, it's, kind of fit to only go this way. So, yeah, that's, kind of interesting. But taking the figure off the base, this guy is really good. I like this figure a lot. I believe he's from Series 5. I'm not sure. He looks really good next to any of my figures, because he's Toybiz, but he is just the right amount of Toybiz and just the right amount of modern action figure, to where it's not, it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb like we're going to see some of these figures do in the later years. And, I'm actually going to positively say this is my favorite Toybiz Marvel Legend figure. It's not just because I own it. It's not because I bought it brand new. But I think this thing looks really good. I think it looks very, very good. It holds up, definitely. I think it's just as good as the Marvel Legend that was released not long ago. And, it came with a comic book, which I read and really enjoyed. The gun, I don't think I have anymore, but I gave him this pistol that came with a Deadpool figure that fits in his holster perfectly. And this is also one of the only figures in my collection. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I was going to say this is one of the few figures in my collection that I haven't modified at all. But more accurately, it's one of the figures in my collection that I really can't modify because he's just perfect. So, yeah, I love this figure. The head sculpt looks great. Let's zoom in on that so you can see it a little bit better. This is the white Nick Fury, so not the one that was portrayed by Sam Jackson in the movies. You can see the S.H.I.E.L.D. logo decoed on his shoulder very well. There's a really, really nice looking blue wash on the whole figure. The body is molded in black plastic, and then there's navy blue highlights throughout, and the light blue on the white parts just looks really good. And I love this guy. So yeah, this thing is really good. And the next figure I'm going to show off. Oh, and again with this figure, actually, I want to bring him back in. Two things I'm going to note with this guy. Again, pre-post torso, so I really don't care. But also, you may notice his hips, and keep an eye on his hips, and take this into consideration in not a weird way, but just remember that, because the next figure I'm going to bring in, I'm actually just going to set this guy to the side right here. The next figure I'll be bringing in is, in no order at all, this Wolverine. I think he came out, maybe actually in the same series, I don't know. This was my brother's figure, and he doesn't want to stand, so there we go. I got him standing. Nobody breathe, because he'll fall over. So, look at this figure's hips, right? See how they are ball joints, and his are, like, actually sculpted to be flush with the leg? This is something that older Toybiz figures had that the, like, newer ones didn't. So, like, the ones that were released later, the later issued figures, did not have this. But they all have these ball-jointed hip joints, which are really good for articulation because it flows perfectly with the sculpt of the groin and the crotch pit. But the articulation, the way it looks on Nick Fury, I think is a lot better than Wolverine. Which is why I say this figure is one of the best Toybiz figures, because you can display him in your Marvel Legends display. You can display him with figures that came out in 2025, and he will look just as good as he did with the figures from Toybiz. And I just wanted to mention that. And also, note as well, there was no, like, photorealistic technology back in the 2000s. So everything that's done on these figures was done, like, I don't think it was done by hand. Maybe it was. It looks as good as something that would be done by hand. But it was not done how they do it now, where they just, like, print the character's face onto the figure. It was actual paintwork, so that's really, really cool. And this Wolverine figure is great too. This Weapon X figure, I was about to take him away, but he's fantastic. Probably one of the nastiest Wolverine figures we've ever gotten. He came with this really gross, like, back-to-tank of adamantium, and he looks so good. Probably like this guy more than the newer Marvel Legend figure that came out this year in 2025. But yeah, you can really see the wash on the torso right there, all those brown, like that really grungy looking stuff, and then his hands are absolutely gnarly. Really dirty fingers. I wish that level of grime was on the figure more, and it wasn't just on his hands. But yeah, so this guy's really cool. And he also, I believe, I'm going to bring him in one more time, and then I'll get rid of him, I swear. I believe this was actually the first Marvel Legend figure to have an interchangeable head. As you can see, I can just take his head off, and it's on a ball joint. So I believe that's the first time that kind of technology was on a Marvel Legend figure. So that's cool, and it allows him to have some head tilt as well, which is, really expressive for a figure like this. So, the next one I'll be showing is, we'll go with Iron Fist, because Iron Fist has something else that's different with him. This figure is actually broken, so I had to fix him like 3 or 4 times, and he's still not perfect. But this guy is actually, to this day, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, the only Marvel Legends representation of this Iron Fist costume. So until Hasbro makes an Iron Fist that looks like this figure will always be the only Iron Fist that I will ever own. Because this is the only costume I like for Iron Fist. And you can see, this figure is just great, man. This is another one I really want to buy new because of how much I like him. And probably leave it carded because it's just that good. This figure is one of the only Toybiz figures that I have, though, that has the Y joint articulation setup instead of the T articulation setup. Now, what does that mean? It means that if you were to flip the torso upside down, the way that the articulation at the hip is configured, the stem for the ball joint, the ball-shaped joint, goes in like this. It is angled at like 45 degrees into the crotch. So that means you can't just move his leg forward because it won't move. You've got to swing it. You've got to like move it out, swing it forward, and then rotate the thigh to move it. Which I hate this articulation setup. It's actually the only thing about this figure I do not like. I really don't like that. Because it's such a pain to pose around, and it leads to the figure breaking sometimes. If you're not familiar with it and you're not expecting it and you go to move it, it can just break on you. So that is really unfortunate. And that's what happened to mine, is I'd never owned a figure with that setup before. I got this figure a long time ago. And I moved his leg forward and it wouldn't budge, so I forced it and I broke it. So yeah, since then I have learned my lesson and will not be doing that again. But I mean, he holds together, just this leg is seriously loose, like it's really loose, and this one is a lot tighter. I know it doesn't look it on camera because I'm moving both of them, but you just gotta trust me on that. So that's him. Great figure. I love this guy. And then Luke Cage came after him, but I don't have that figure, sadly. The next one I will show off, I have... Let's go with the next innovation of articulation, which is on this Bullseye figure. And, great Daredevil villain. I love Bullseye. He's super, super sinister. This guy I also bought loose. All of these figures were purchased loose. I will name the ones that I actually bought new. But this guy has something, if anyone's familiar with this figure, which I'm sure there's a lot of people who are, because this figure is like 5 figures. I think they reused this body mold like 3 or 4 times. There's a variant to this guy where he's kind of like shiny, and then it was used on Moon Knight twice, and I think it was used on another figure twice. But he has articulated fingers. Every single finger is articulated individually, which is crazy cool. So, you know, you can do all sorts of cool stuff, like have him waving to you. He can kind of make a fist, but not really. He can kind of hold stuff, but he doesn't do it very well. And most important of all, he can flip you off. You can have your Marvel Legends figures give each other the finger. Say, I don't like you. But with all seriousness, this figure is actually really cool. I like him a lot. It's just kind of funny, though, because we didn't actually get like a comic book Daredevil in Marvel Legends until the line was almost canceled with the Face Off 2-packs. He came with Kingpin. So for anyone who was just a Marvel Legends collector, you didn't have a comic book Daredevil in the same wave. It's not like what they did with Iron Fist, where they released Luke Cage after. It was like literally Bullseye and then no Daredevil. Well, you had the movie figure, but that doesn't count. So the next figure is Sabretooth here. I featured this guy on the channel before, I believe, showing how to mod the articulation on him. Same with Weapon X. So this is one of the only Toybiz figures that I have actually worked on. All the others are, factory, how they came. This guy, Weapon X, and the Age of Apocalypse Wolverine I have customized. But this guy has another new articulation thing. Well, none of this stuff was introduced in the order I'm introducing it in. I'm just showing off figures that have like a new thing as a way to kind of keep the video moving in a way that makes sense. But he has this like armpit joint that kind of like raises up, and then you can move the arm, which I'm not going to do because it's really tight. And I'm worried I'm going to break it because this figure is actually really expensive. But yeah, it can do that. So that's pretty cool. I don't know why it's there. It's really, really strange. But it looks kind of cool if you use it properly. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about this guy. Next up is Mr. Fantastic. This was from the Face Off 2-pack, I believe. He, I don't know really what to say about him. He's very skinny, almost like kind of strangely skinny, because I don't think he's that skinny in the comics. I don't have a lot of Fantastic Four comics. But I think with this figure, it's kind of noticeable, like, well, I mean, this was a later figure. I probably should have shown him last, actually, because I think this is the oldest Toybiz figure I have. Well, not the oldest, but, like, the newest, if you want to look at it that way. But there's nothing really new on this guy, but he does have something I forgot to show off on Bullseye, which is a butterfly joint. This is nothing new. Well, it was new when it came out, but Marvel Legends collectors, you all know about this. It's on like every Spider-Man figure, but it just allows the arm to be able to do this without moving it here. So it's pretty cool. It's a useful point of articulation. It makes poses look a lot more natural, so his arm isn't like this when you want to move it back, because you can have his arm like backwards and out at the same time. It's just a good like thing to have on a figure. I think this is supposed to be like somebody's art style. My gut wants to say Jack Kirby, but I don't know if Jack Kirby ever drew the FF, so I'm not going to say anything for sure. But I got this guy in Maine, so that's cool. The other Mr. Fantastic figure was really cool that they made because he had removable arms. I don't think this figure's arm comes off. No, it doesn't. You can't pull his arms off. So please don't break your lovely Mr. Fantastic. But the other one was a lot cooler because he had like a removable arm. So you could take his arm off at like the forearm right here. And it would, you could put on like a mallet or a clamp or a big hand or something. I don't remember. And you were able to have like your Mr. Fantastic figure could, he could display his power. I don't believe this guy came with any way to show off his powers, so that is unfortunate. I know there was a variant to most Toybiz figures. Every figure that I've shown, except for Iron Fist and Thor, I believe, and, no, except for Weapon X and Thor, all had variants. And I believe this figure might have also had a variant. Yeah, he did. He had a blue, like a lighter blue variant. So that's pretty cool. And he came with a Invisible Woman, which is a very rare figure, I believe. I don't really know anything about it, but yeah. So that's cool. I like this guy. He's pretty neat. The next figure I'm gonna show is this Weapon X here. I did customize this figure. I think I made a video on it. I added some more battle damage, and I put a wash on his neck and on his arms because they were too light. Because, if you got your face burned off, it wouldn't just be your head, right? It would be your neck and some of your shirt and all that. But, yeah, I just wanted to show this guy again. I like it. It's probably my favorite custom I ever made. I think it came out really well, especially the legs. The legs look really good, all sorts of sliced up and really nasty looking. So, I might come back to him. I watched Papito Loco's video on making his zombie Spider-Man, and it kind of gave me inspiration to come back to this figure. I really want to cut it up some more and take some pieces out of the suit and expose the skin underneath. So I'll probably come back. I might make an update video on this thing. I don't know yet, but I just wanted to show him. This was a variant figure. I actually don't have the original one. But it was basically just this figure minus the battle damage, and he had like a normal Wolverine head, and no claws. I like this one more because he has claws. But this is actually this is the second of, he's number 2 out of 3 Toybiz figures that I bought new. So I did buy this figure brand new. And, yeah, so that's cool. Alright, now we're moving on to some truly incredible figures. Next up, we've got 3 X-Men characters. We've got Beast here. This is my favorite Beast figure. I know the Marvel Legends one is better, and I do want the Marvel Legends one. Well, actually, this is the Marvel Legends one, so forget that. But I love this figure. I first handled this figure, not this figure, but this figure. You know, it wasn't this exact copy, but it was this figure. When my brother gave me his figures to mess around with when I was a little kid, and I fell in love with this guy. I absolutely love, this is probably my second favorite Toybiz figure ever. He's got an articulated mouth, so that's awesome. That's something we haven't seen yet. We have a neck joint. So he's got this joint at the neck. I don't really know how to display it or show it off, so it's like this, right? And then he's got a separate head joint, so that moves. It's on a hinge. And then his head itself is on a ball joint on top of that. So he's got a neck joint probably before import companies were even a thing. I don't know when the first import company was. It was probably Bandai with SH Figuarts. But this might be one of the first Marvel figures to have a neck joint, so that's actually really cool. And then he's got this very Diamond Select style hip articulation setup where it moves out like this, instead of, I don't know if you can really see that. I don't know how visible it is, but it's not really like, you know, the traditional, it's not a ball-shaped joint, and it's not the one that was on Nick Fury. It's kind of like, there's a cut, and it's on this, like, swivel and then a hinge. It's really strange. It's the same functionality. It just looks weird. And then the thigh cut is right there. And I think this is actually a figure that would have been helped with a ball joint, and that's the only thing that I can say about him that I don't like, is that one articulation point. So, I absolutely adore this figure. Then the second to last figure I'm going to show off is Deathlock here. This is my third favorite Toybiz figure. This is my favorite Deathlock, actually, because I love Deathlock. I think he's an awesome hero. I love his comics. I love his design. I think he's an X-Men character. I don't know. He was in X-Force because there's a Marvel Legend figure of that one. But this guy's awesome. The tube is almost always broken. I might make a video fixing it. I might not. I don't think it really needs to be explained. All you do is throw super glue on the tube and then just stick it in the hole that it goes into. So, yeah. But he looks great. Lots of detail. Lots of everything on this guy. I absolutely love it. I really can't say anything about it that you can't see with your own eyes. So, that's Deathlock. Then we've got Mr. Sinister, one of the most expensive Marvel figures, or Marvel Legends Toybiz figures, I believe, for a while. I don't know if he still is, but everyone used to buy him, and they used to cut him up, and they would take the straps off of his cape to make belts and, like, straps for custom figures. So he was, like, well over $100 for a while. I don't know if he still is. There's 2 versions of this figure, not technically a variant, but more of a QC issue. And then there's this version that I have, where one has like a blue neck, the whole neck is blue, and then this one is just, he's just this, he's got the fade, so I don't actually know what one I have. I think one might have like a fully white neck and the other one has what I've got. So I think I have the earlier version, but pretty tall figure. No wrist hinge though. So yeah, there's that. I also bought him new. And then the last figure I've already shown off, I believe, before, but it's Sentry. He's missing his head because I'm going to do a custom with this figure, but this is the newest Toybiz figure that I have, and you can really see the decline in quality. There's no wash anywhere on the figure. He reuses, I believe, Atomic Man is the character's name. It was also reused on Black Panther and the Captain Britain. But it looks fine. The head was really small, so I took it off. I'm going to customize it. This is the head. It's like the size of a dime. It goes on. It's way too small. The neck is bigger than the head, so he needs a bigger dome. So, yeah, but that's it for this video. And I'll see you in the next one.